Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another podcast. Today I have a very special guest, my boy Garrett over here.
Glad to be here.
Yes, it's been a while since I wanted this man on my podcast. So, you guys are in for a treat, especially for this one, for sure. So, I guess we can just start off by talking about NBA finals and the playoffs. As you guys can see, we got the bracket up right here, and my team over here, the fucking Raptors, second seed in the East. They're going to be going up Orlando in the first round. Excuse me. So that'll be a fucking easy win for them. And for the 76ers and the Nets, I feel like the 76ers are going to win just because they have Blake Griffin. But I know damn well that the Raptors are going to whoop all of these three teams depending on who goes there. So we're definitely going to be going to the conference finals for sure. Now, whoever's going to be coming with us in the conference finals, I feel like it's either Milwaukee or Boston. The only
The
reason,
top,
yeah,
the top bracket I think is has a lot more intriguing matchups in that. I like the Boston Indiana matchup because
yeah,
I think that one could go either way.
that's true.
A lot of people are speculating the Bucks are gonna plow through the Pistons and
Oh yeah,
whoever else gets in their way. But the premier matchup in the Eastern Conference Finals would definitely be the Raptors and the Bucks.
oh yeah, oh yeah. Like the only reason I feel like Boston might win is because Kyrie's on that team, but then again, he's like no LeBron, so he can't really like carry. You feel me? So I feel like with Giannis Antetokounmpo, who's on the Milwaukee Bucks, like he's definitely gonna fucking just destroy and go him, especially in the playoffs, because they want to win. And he's been on the rise. Like everyone's been like, dude, he's like number one player. Like he's been going ham this season, and seasons past. So I definitely feel like it's gonna be the Raptors versus the Bucks, and our what's the word I'm looking for? Our like matchup between them, I feel like it's kind of even because whenever we go against the Bucks, it's like we lose a game, but it's kind of close, and then we beat them, and it's kind of close. So I feel like it can go either way for sure. So it's definitely going to be really interesting to see who pulls it off and goes to the finals.
Well, historically, the Raptors have been a phenomenal regular season team.
Regular
But
season,
when it
yeah.
comes to playoffs, they fell short.
We've been known to kind of choke in game three or usually in the fourth quarter, but this past season and last season we've actually been doing really good to where we don't really choke as much as we've done before. So we got Kawhi Leonard, who's a really good mentor for the team, even though there's a bunch of veterans on that team. So it just depends on, I guess, who plays the best. But the big hysteria about what's going on in the finals is that LeBron, this is his first year not going into the playoffs.
Yeah, Lakers had a tough season this year.
Oh yeah,
I'm sure you heard Magic Johnson step down as president of the Lakers and
yeah,
basketball operations. So there's a lot of criticism going on between him, Luke Walton, and the Lakers organization collectively. So
right.
um, I have the most confidence LeBron bounce back next year, and
Yeah,
they'll
for
be back
sure.
in the playoffs. But a lot of things going down in LA. Obviously, the Clippers. We got the Clippers in the playoffs.
Yeah, surprisingly, yeah, they clinched the eighth seed, so they're going against the Golden State. I don't. They're gonna fucking get destroyed for sure.
Yeah, it's tough being an
It's
eight seed in the NBA
right.
and making it past the first round. So,
Very true. Very true.
but the Rockets and the Jazz, that'll be an interesting matchup. Rockets are another one of those teams that have historically been good in the regular season and
Exactly.
fell short in the playoffs. So
That's
the Jazz
true.
might have a chance to slide up and get into the semifinals. So
Right. That's true. That's true. And then on the bottom bracket, there's also Denver Nuggets versus the San Antonio Spurs, and actually, DeMar DeRozan, who's on the Raptors, now plays for the Spurs. That's going to be kind of interesting to watch as well. And then you got OKC versus Portland, and I feel like not Portland. I feel like OKC might pull through just because they got Paul
Paul
George,
George,
they got Westbrook. Shit, I'm forgetting a couple other names.
the big white guy with the long hair.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can't remember his name.
I know what he looks like. Can't remember his name.
I know exactly who you're talking about. Yeah. So
But
I'm hoping OKC pulls through and they go against the Spurs. That's what I'm kind of predicting going to the semifinals. And I feel like it's going to be Golden State versus Houston in the semifinals. And then I have no idea who's going to pull off
in that bottom
those
bracket.
wins. Yeah.
I like Denver. I think Denver with what's his name? Starts with a J. Jovic, big white boy.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
He's an animal.
I can't remember.
I like the Denver OKC matchup, and I think ultimately Denver is gonna meet most likely Golden State in the conference final. But it's playoffs; anything can happen.
That's very true.
Like we saw in March Madness, you never know, man.
Yeah, that's very true, very true. So it's gonna be really good. If you're a basketball fan, this has been a really good like season right now. There's a lot of really good teams. Usually it's like in the past years it's been like 4 or 5 really big teams in the playoffs, and then no one cares about the other teams, right? But right now it's like all these teams, like you don't know what's gonna happen. Like they're all really good teams, so it's gonna be really exciting to see where that takes off. So I'm excited to start watching it. I think I think it starts. I think it starts sometime this week on like Thursday or something. I don't know the exact schedule, but I know it starts this week for sure. And yeah, so that's it for about NBA. Other than that, we got other topics like UFC, baseball. We'll get to those later. But right now, I like to tell you about. So I watched a documentary last night about UFOs and like Area 51. It's called like Bob Lazar, Area 51, UFO sightings and shit like that. It was actually really interesting. So basically, it was like a documentary about Bob Lazar, who worked for the government on Area 51, and he basically like took apart the alien, like the UFOs, and like try to see like how they built it and how to fix it and what technology we can get from it and shit like that. And it's really insane because like he started working there, but then I guess they like fired him, or he like just left, and he started talking about it, and then the government just kind of like erased him from everything, like that he never went to college, he's never had any jobs that he said he did, but he was talking about like that there was actually like UFOs and shit there that they would, like he said there was a total of 9 of them. Some didn't work and some did, and they were able to like use it and fly them and shit like that. So it was really, I'm a fan of conspiracy theories, but only like good ones.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
they gotta be believable.
Yeah, if there's like some evidence to prove, to back it up, then yeah, I'm all about it. I'm gonna like research into it. But there's a bunch of stuff like Bigfoot, I guess. Like that's kind of, I'm not really on board with that. I just feel like they probably saw like a fucking bear standing up on their legs, and people were freaking out and shit. So I mean, I don't know. Who knows about that shit? But
it's funny because when you were describing what you watched last night, I was thinking of Will Smith on Independence Day, coming across the desert, flying the saucer, shooting them down, and having the big alien in the bed of the truck. But yeah, the government, they want to keep everything at peace and keep everything at a stable level. So
right.
Even if there was, it was confirmed that there is UFO life out there, an extraterrestrial. They're going to do everything they can to shut whoever up who's going to try to get it out there. But
yeah,
what was this? I lost my train of thought there for a second.
It's all good, man.
But yeah, I mean, the interesting thing about UFO life is when it reaches Earth, it's coming from different galaxies and light years away. We're getting the technology that they made, millions of years in the past. So it's like, where would they be now?
That's true. I did not think about that. That's actually really interesting to think about. Damn, that's actually crazy. Yeah, because they're like super far away. Like I'm assuming like light years and shit. So by the time they reach us here, then it's like they're already like so more far advanced than what they brought us. You know what I mean?
It's like Interstellar when Matthew McConaughey he sees his daughter on her deathbed, but he leaves to go save Earth, humanity. It's just crazy how space-time travel works.
Yeah.
So
time of relativity and all that shit. Yeah, dude, it's insane. It's insane. Yeah. All like some other things about that documentary. They were talking about like the government for like this thing has been going on for like 30 years. Like back then, like people didn't believe him. Like he went on like news and shit and talked about it, and people didn't believe him. But now with like this documentary they brought out, like it shows that like pretty much everything he was saying was true. Like it's all backed up with like the fact that they've like researched and all that kind of stuff. But the government was trying to say that Area 51 never existed, right?
Of course.
And like Bob Lazar, he said he took like a couple of his friends or colleagues or whatever and up to like a little mountain cliff, and they can like look onto Area 51, and he could see like people like flying the saucers and shit like that, like trying to work with it. So like once the government found that out and they wanted to expand their property, so like people couldn't like go sightseeing and look into their area, that's when they had to like come to the public and say, look, Area 51 does exist, and the only reason they came and said that was because they were expanding their property line, so people wouldn't actually see what was going on there. So I thought that was kind of interesting about, like I agree, like with the government, if they want to keep like stuff away from the public, just to protect us from, people getting super scared and shit like that. Like I completely understand that, but if you're gonna be getting intelligent like space life, from aliens or whatever, like that's a really big jump in our technology and our scientific field, like that explains a lot of things, so it's like why do you want to keep all that really good information away from us when we can use that to our advantage, right?
But like you said, it just comes down to keeping the public at a level, minded state. If you come out and say we have extraterrestrial life here on Earth, then who's to say that riots won't happen?
Yeah, that's true.
The people will quit coming to work, the market's going to crash.
Yeah,
I mean it's all in the better good of our our country, because unlike many other countries, we have the strongest market in the world, and the most freedoms of any other country. So jeopardizing that wouldn't be worth letting everybody know that we have something that somebody else may not.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, he also said that there was the reason they're able to like not kind of like move like a plane or like a helicopter is because there's like a element that we didn't create. Nothing on Earth has shown like that. They call it element 115, and that's how they use it. Pretty much, he says like like the spacecraft like shoots like gravity in the air, and it creates like a pocket to where they can move through it. So that's how like the saucer, I guess, like moves through
the air at like a quick speed.
Yeah, exactly. So like he actually got raided twice by the FBI because they thought that he had that element. Like once he left like the facility, they thought that he took like a piece of that element with him, which honestly would be really smart, because then you can like do your own research on that and shit and learn how to like create it or where it came from and stuff like that. But I just think it's funny how the FBI came twice to his house, separate times, to raid his house, and where he works and all that kind of stuff to see if they have that element. But they were just like, no, we need this transcript from one of your clients to see, if everything that they were saying is true and stuff like that. That's what they said that they were looking for, but they were actually looking for that element to see if he had it. So, that shit's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, one of those topics we talk about for days.
Yeah.
Is there, alien life forms out there? Is there other colonies deep in space that we don't know about? But, us being regular citizens, or regular Joe Blows, we really can't answer that until we see it factually.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, for my beliefs, I know for a fact that there's got to be at least some other kind of life form out there.
100%. We definitely can't be the only ones out here.
Yeah, that kind of seems like a little preposterous, like ignorant, kind of like that,
Shelters, I guess you'd say.
Right. True. But yeah. So that was a really good documentary. If you guys, if you want to check it out, I just got it on Amazon. It's like $4 to rent.
Oh, I'll definitely have to look into it.
Yeah, it was like an hour and a half. Really interesting stuff. And if you guys want to check it out, it's called Bob Lazar. Area 51. You can just like type in like his name and all that shit, and it'll just come up. It's like I think it was made last year. Really interesting stuff. But let's go into talking about this weekend's fight. It is UFC 236 Holloway versus Dustin Poirier 2. This is their second fight. The first time Dustin Poirier beat Max Holloway gave Max Holloway his first loss. That was his UFC debut. They haven't fought since then, and now they're going in for a rematch again. I'm excited to see this fight so much just because the last fights that I've seen Max Holloway, like I think you were there too, where it was Brian Ortega.
Yeah, I was at that one.
Dude, he was just going ham on that kid. Like that was such a good fight. And even the fights before that, he's just such a good fighter. He's such a great fighter, And Dustin Poirier, he's a great fighter too. He's knocked out Jose Aldo, I believe, twice. Or maybe that was Max Holloway. I kind of mix up those fights. I got, a lot of fights on my mind right now. but that's gonna be a really good fight.
So, how long has it been since they last fought?
Since they last fought, shit, dude, I want to say at least like 3 years.
Okay.
At least 3 years that they fought.
Have they been
the
known
first
to
time.
have beef between each other, like hard feelings after that first match? Or?
No, there wasn't really like any beef. It was just kind of like they wanted to, they wanted to show who's the better fighter. You know what I mean? Like they weren't like trying to talk trash and like that's like that's how they made the fight so big. They weren't like talking trash or anything. They were just kind of like, look, I'm the better fighter, or Max Holloway saying I'm the better fighter. Like let's take it to the octagon and see who can perform the best. So that I think that's a really good way to fight is like not like talking shit to other people and then like getting like a big following like that, but just kind of um talking about like your skills and how good of a fighter you are. I feel like that makes it a lot more meaningful of a fight than just like let me talk shit. Now we have a beef. Let's settle it on the octagon. I feel like that. Like yeah, that'll bring in a lot more viewers and whatnot, but it's not going to be as appealing as I'm the best fighter. I got a bunch of like combos and all this other stuff. So let's put that to the test and see who's the pretty much like the top alpha dog. You know what I mean?
I mean, these are just two excellent fighters coming together, trying to square off who's better.
Right.
Instead of being hyped up, making calling each other names. I mean,
yeah,
that's a little bush league to me.
Exactly. I agree.
I
with
think
that.
this would be a good just two excellent athletes in the game, and just squaring off who's better.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I'm excited.
Sure.
So that'll be April 13th, this following weekend. And for that card, so that's going to be the main fight, is right there. And then underneath that is Kelvin Gastelum versus Israel Adesanya. So this is going to be also a really good freaking fight, man. Like, Israel Adesanya, man, he is such a fucking beast. He's from New Zealand. His nickname is Stylebender. So it's kind of funny because you can, like, when he gets into the octagon, like before and after a fight, he'll make like some references to like Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, like the Last Airbender. Like, so I think that's kind of funny how he does that. But if you know the fighter by Anderson Silva, aka the Spider, he's kind of like replacing him.
Fights similar to him.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's got like that confidence level. He's able to like put his hands down and kind of like just dodge, like that without getting hurt or anything, And that's when you look at Anderson Silva fight and you watch Israel Adesanya fight, you can kind of see how they're both really similar. Like it kind of seems like Anderson Silva kind of was his mentor because you can kind of like I don't know about you or if anyone else out there that watches him fight, but when I watch him fight, I can see like he's like a new, better version of Anderson Silva.
I haven't watched him fight.
Yeah.
So I really can't say it.
Right. But I mean, shit. Like they actually fought against each other. I want to say like last year or something, and he actually ended up beating him. Anderson Silva lost to Israel Adesanya. So I thought that was really big stepping stone for him because dude, Anderson Silva, man, he's a fucking savage. Like he's been in the sport for I want to say like 10 plus years. Like he's a veteran in the sport. He's definitely going to the Hall of Fame. He's like a complete savage. He knocks out his opponents. He'll put his hands down and just let you punch him in the face. He'll take a couple blows and then he'll just knock your ass out. And it's like, what the fuck? Like how are you able to do that kind of shit? So it's really insane. I'm hoping Adesanya beats Gastelum. We'll see about that. And for who would you pick for the before the main card and then the main card or the main fight? Who would you pick?
I like Poirier. I like Poirier in the main card.
Yeah.
And then I go with Israel.
Yeah.
The other one. Like I said, I'm not too up to speed on these fighters.
Right.
I watch UFC, but very little.
Yeah.
So I mean, but based on your analysis and knowledge of the sport, if you like Israel and Poirier, then they're probably going to be the ones that come on top.
Yeah, I mean, those are the two people that I'm picking for to win too. I mean, I love Max Holloway. I like it. It's so tough for me to pick like who I want to win in this main fight, just because I love both the fighters. Like Dustin Poirier fights out of Florida, Max Holloway fights out of Hawaii. So I'm like, they're just both really good fighters, and I love Max Holloway's style where he's just so technical. He doesn't lay off the gas. Like he'll just keep punching you, and when you want to like take a step back and like get out of the pocket and take a breath to recuperate yourself, he'll just come right back on you. So you don't have any breaks in between the fights. You know what I mean? So it's gonna be a really good fight for sure. I want Dustin Poirier to win, but fuck, dude, I want Max Holloway to win too. So either way it goes, I'll be happy because I want both them fighters to win. So I guess we'll just see what Saturday brings us. But yeah, pretty much all the other people on the fights, I haven't really watched any of them fight besides Eric Anders and Ovin St. Preux. So I can't really talk about anything like that because I don't really know too much about them. But yeah, if you guys want to check this out, it's coming on, Saturday, April 13th, and it'll be on pay-per-view. What's different though is instead of like buying it through like UFC or whatever, and since they partnered with ESPN, they show fights on ESPN Plus, but now that's where you have to buy the pay-per-views. Is you go on ESPN and then you have to buy the pay-per-views from their website.
Okay.
So that's really interesting how they did that. I think that's a really good, like, let's just bring it all together to ESPN so you don't have to like go through like a third party, like call them, be like, hey, I want to buy this pay-per-view fight, instead you just go on ESPN, done. You buy it, you're good. And I think it's like $5 or $10 cheaper too.
Wow.
Doing it that way. So
how much does a pay-per-view fight normally cost?
Usually I believe it's like $65 for like HD or like $75. Like it ain't too bad. So yeah, it's been like that. I think the only pay-per-view that I bought was the Khabib versus McGregor fight, which McGregor lost unfortunately. But I think that was like shit dog. Yeah, I think it was like $65 for like HD. So it's not too inexpensive, especially since I split it with, the two friends that I was watching it. So it's like everyone just chipped in like $20, so that's really not a bad deal, for all this shit that's going on, main card, prelims, all that kind of stuff.
I mean, that's a whole night worth of fun right there.
Exactly. This shit starts off like main fight starts at 10, the prelims 8, and then the early prelims, which on Fight Pass, that starts at 6. So it's like you're pretty much watching fights for shit, dog. Like just because it starts at 10 doesn't mean it's gonna start exactly on 10. But usually the fights end like 12:30 to 1. So it's like you're watching fights for like a good 7-8 hours.
Yeah, you really gotta pace yourself in that Conor McGregor whiskey.
Dude, that's insane. I was funny. I remember I just came back from my dad's place, and it was his birthday. So we were selling his birthday, man. Dude, he grabbed. So I bought him like the Conor McGregor whiskey, and we eat dinner. We sell like we sing him happy birthday, eat the cake and shit, and then he starts drinking, right? So he grabs the McGregor whiskey. He starts pouring himself a shot, and then we're sitting outside on his patio, like in front of a fireplace, like in a circle. It's like I want to say like 8 people, right? So he takes a shot, and then he's like, "All right, who's next?" And then everyone's kind of like, like we don't know if we want to take shots. And he's like, "Nah, fuck you." So he pours a shot, and he's like, "Take it." Then he pours another shot, gives it. So literally, he goes to this circle, gives everyone a shot, and after the first round, everyone's like, okay, that wasn't too bad." Immediately afterwards, he's like, "Okay, another one," and then he goes around, and then he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna leave the bottle here. Here's the glass. You guys just keep pouring yourself shots, right?" He fucking walks away. I take another shot. No one else really does, and he comes back. He's like, "Guys, why is there still alcohol in the bottle?" Then he just starts pouring shots. He's like, "All right, everyone, keep going." Like, dude, I swear to God, he did that with like 3 like bottles of like whiskey, dog, and he was straight up like just giving everyone shots, like making sure everyone was completely obliterated for his birthday. I thought this shit was fucking hilarious.
Of course, yeah.
Like,
everybody needs to have a good time. Everybody,
right?
It's like if I'm going down, you're going down with me.
Exactly. So it's like, why not have fun with everyone? Everyone's fucked up. Like, dude, fucking Hannah and I, we came down for like the bathroom, bro. We look into the living room. My sister brought her dog. She like had like the bowl of food and the bowl of water there, bro. This little like some parents like they brought their kids, because my little brother's 3, so like they didn't want him to like be by himself while all the adults are getting fucked up, so they brought their kids, you know, so they can all hang out and shit. So this parent, like, they left their like, like he was like 2 years old, right? That he's just sitting in front of the fucking dog food, takes his hand with the dog food, puts it in the water, soaks it in there, just shoves it in his mouth.
No way.
I have no fucking clue how long he was sitting there. All I know is that there was a shit ton of dog food in the water bowl, and he was just munching on that shit, dude.
2-year-old?
I think it was, yeah, just like a fucking 2-year-old little baby, bro, just eating dog food, bro.
That's disgusting. I remember I was 2. My parents, everybody in my family was getting drunk, and my parents said they found me by the refrigerator, and I was drinking a bottle of soy sauce. When I was 2, so I'm not too far off, man. I think all 2-year-olds are pretty much shot out.
Right, dude, that's fucking hilarious, bro. I've never like, my parents haven't told me anything like that. I bet if I asked them, they definitely would. But like, dude, just the fact that I did not expect to like walk down the stairs and just see a fucking kid sitting in front of a dog bowl just shoving dog food in his mouth.
You never know what you're gonna see, man. Just when you think you've seen it all, you see something new.
Dude, that shit just had me fucking dead, bro. I was like, dude, what am I even supposed to do, bro? Like, how much dog food did he eat? He just looks up at me.
There's nothing you can do.
Right? He's got his fucking hand in his mouth, like, with some dog food in there. Like, bro, what the fuck?
You just gotta stop it while you can.
Right?
I remember when I was 5, like, going back to, everybody in the family getting drunk and kids hanging around. I was 5 years old. I was at my aunt's house. She has a Doberman. His name was Keenan. And I remember I was out in the yard throwing the stick for Keenan, and I was wearing a hoodie. And so this is probably about the 5th or 6th time I thrown the stick for him.
Okay.
So I'm leaning back, right? I get it back here. The stick gets caught in my hoodie. Okay. So there's a stick in my hoodie, and there's this Doberman that wants the stick right in front of me.
Right.
Keenan grabs my hoodie with his mouth and literally starts dragging me around the yard. And meanwhile, I remember just like being dragged. I wasn't like, I was grass. So I wasn't like in pain or anything. But I remember like looking over, like as I'm being dragged, and I see my mom and my aunt and my uncles like looking at me and just laughing, like not even trying to stop it, just letting it unroll. So it's like when everybody's drinking and having a good time and stuff like that, like we'll worry about it later.
Right? Exactly. It's like, who fucking cares? You know that like. As long as he's not bleeding, as long as there's no bones broken, like, you know, we're all good. Fuck, dude, that's hilarious, man. I can only imagine your fucking 5-year-old ass gonna get dragged by a dog.
They say it was a sight to see.
Shit, man.
As long as it's not so like Shameless when the baby 2-year-old baby snorts a bunch of coke.
Oh yeah,
that's when it takes that next level of oh shit.
Yeah, that's
we need to do something or we're gonna get in trouble.
Right. Fuck. Better call child services after that, man.
Yeah, that's a slippery slope.
Right. Fuck, that's funny though. That is funny.
Good time.
I wish I had. Damn, I'm trying to think if I can, remember anything like that. I really can't.
You got nothing, huh?
Shit, I got nothing. I'll have to ask my parents, so they can lighten me up. Be like, yo, what dumb shit did I do as like a little fucking toddler? Give me some stories. I'm sure there's gotta be a lot of them for sure.
Well, maybe you didn't do any dumb shit as a toddler. Maybe it's just catching up to you now, because
I see. Okay, yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. I've been doing a lot of dumb shit lately.
Yeah.
True, but So yeah, that's it for UFC. We can talk about baseball.
Yeah, man. I know Tia's not a huge baseball follower like me, but
no fucking clue.
Some shocking revelations that start in the year. You got Tampa Bay Rays sitting at 10-3, the best start in franchise history. Doing it at a $40 million payroll, one of the lowest in Major League Baseball. It's really smart how they're spending their money and getting production out of players. Moving down, we have the Seattle Mariners. They have the best record in baseball right now. They have a couple guys that came from the Rays and Malik Smith and Beckham that are getting huge numbers that a lot of people didn't project. Onward, we have the National League. Obviously, the Philadelphia Phillies. They were a preseason favorite with signing Bryce Harper to 10 years, $330 million. A lot of money.
Yeah, didn't you tell me that was like one of the highest?
You're thinking of Mike Trout for the LA Angels. Mike Trout, he got 10 years, $430 million.
Fuck, dude.
They just power moved the shit out of Bryce Harper and the Phillies with that one. But Bryce Harper's a good player. His average is like in the 260s, 270 on his career, but he brings more of a personality and more of like a figure, a good looking figure to a franchise. Whereas Mike Trout, he has that good looking figure, he has that personality, but he has the numbers to back it.
True.
You're talking about an over 300 batting average career hitter.
Yeah.
He's been top 5 in the MVP voting every year he's been in the league.
Yeah,
so
awesome.
Yeah, he's a really good player, but like I said, baseball's a 162 game season, man.
Right.
It's still early. Just because you're off to a good start right now doesn't mean you're going to finish well.
That's true. That's true.
Coming to a conclusion on it, last year the New York Mets started 17-1, and they ended up finishing the season 86-75, missing the playoffs.
Oof.
So strong start doesn't dictate how your season's going to go. So,
but I'm guessing that's a pretty good like little boost or like a head start. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you definitely want to start strong because if winning games out of the gate's critical because baseball's so cyclical. You fall into a 20-game slump where you only win 5 out of 20. So
yeah,
and then that gives other teams a chance to peak and catch up and take control of the standings because the way baseball works is that you have the 4 divisions and then you have 2 wild card spots. So what happens is if there's a tiebreaker, 2 teams will play it in game 163 for that second wild card spot, and then the wild card game comes down to being a 1-game series. Whoever wins takes the 5th team in the division to make it even, and then they go into the playoffs. So,
true.
Yep. So that's that. That's a quick summary of baseball so far.
Yeah, it looks like
how many teams are there in baseball?
32.
32. Jeez.
32 teams.
Huh. Yeah, because I don't follow it at all. Like, I know a little bit about the team, like some teams, just because people and shit, but yeah, that's crazy. Crazy for sure.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I prefer college football over like NFL and college basketball over pro basketball. But when it comes to baseball, I'm not really into college baseball. I much prefer professional just because of the salaries that go into it. Moneyball. That's one of my favorite movies and books I've been reading.
That was actually a really good movie too.
And I've grown up a Tampa Bay Rays fan, so they've always been the bottom of the league in payroll. So until 2008, they had losing seasons. In 2008, they finally broke the seal and ended up going all the way to the World Series.
Right.
But they do it on calculating who gets on base and good pitching and contract control because the Rays are known for growing really good ball players, and then once they get done with their rookie contract at 25 or 26, they hit the free agent market and get big contracts, and then they pretty much got to start from scratch. But yeah, man.
I mean, to touch up on like that Moneyball movie, what team were they? Like, I forgot. I've seen that movie.
Oakland Athletics.
Oakland Athletics.
Oakland Athletics.
Is that like still a team now?
Yeah, they're in the AL West.
Okay.
That movie's actually it's really interesting because the man that the general manager for the Oakland Athletics, Billy Beane, he was what they call best prospects in baseball. They call them 5-tool players that can hit for power, run, field, and throw.
Right.
That's a 5-tool player. If you're a 5-tool player, man, you're a stud. Billy Beane was a 5-tool player. In the 1982 Major League Baseball draft, Darryl Strawberry went number 1 overall to the New York Mets. New York Mets had 9 draft picks that year. Billy Beane wanted to go to college at Stanford to play quarterback and baseball on a full-ride scholarship. His parents wanted him to play pro ball, and then the scouts were talking to him, "Oh, you're going to be a stud. You're going to get the big contract. You're going to be successful." And Billy Beane never experienced failure. This guy's 6'4", 220, fast, and everybody's saying he's the next greatest thing. So he ended up going 23rd overall in the '82 draft. But an interesting thing about Billy Beane is that he never panned out. He was a complete and utter failure. In the minor leagues, he went up with Darryl Strawberry, who's a Hall of Fame outfielder, played for the Mets, and then he went up with Lenny Dykstra, who played for the Mets and the Phillies.
Yeah,
he was not a Hall of Famer, but a very good ball player. But Billy Beane he could throw, he could field, but he never get his hitting around.
Damn.
And so it's actually interesting going back to the Moneyball thing because he looks for players that are the opposite of what he was,
right?
Because of his failures, and he knows that like just because you have all the skill doesn't mean you have the mental mindset to be a successful ball player.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So, I mean, they look for outside the box guys that aren't blowing up the scouting reports, and they've been real successful doing it.
Yeah, yeah, I know that was a really good movie. Like I didn't really know anything about baseball going into it, but at the end I was like, damn, like this is actually a really interesting story about how they didn't like their team didn't have like a lot of money, so they had to kind of figure out like where to put their money and like what aspects that player can have, and then kind of like balance it out with other players to like make like kind of like a whole team, if that makes sense.
Yeah, their main goal was to get guys that can get on base.
Yeah.
Guys that can take a strike zone in baseball, take pitches, and use that to their advantage to manufacture runs in addition to getting good pitching. Because hitting's one thing. If you can draw walks and get wear out the opposing team's pitcher to get easier pitches to hit, then you're doing that's basically the athletics mindset.
Right.
But pitching is one of those things you gotta have good pitching to do it. But you're gonna look for guys that are different, guys that are coming in with a sidearm angle, guys that aren't throwing 98, 99 miles an hour, because you can catch up the speed, but if you got movement and you know how to work your pitches, then you can be successful. No matter if you're throwing 98 or 88. So
true.
But it's real interesting. I definitely encourage anybody that hasn't read the book or seen the movie. The movie's great. Got Brad Pitt in it.
Yeah.
Definitely give it a watch if you're interested in baseball or interested in how the business in baseball works, because it's really my eye opening. You wouldn't expect it to go.
I was just about to say that. Yeah.
But
so how is Oakland doing like overall?
Overall
for
history or just recently?
Like just kind of like recently, I guess. Like after like they made that movie about them, like have they been doing a lot better or worse or the same?
The movie is talking about the 2002 season, so they've actually been pretty stable. I mean, they've had a couple losing seasons here and there, but they've been in and out of the playoffs. Last year they just beat out the Rays for a wild card spot. So I mean, they're in the playoffs. They haven't been to any World Series.
And they've never won a World Series?
No, they've won World Series back in the 70s and 80s when they had Ricky Henderson.
Right.
And a couple other good ball players. But overall, they've been good. But the Rays have been actually the biggest team that has modeled what they're doing. Like I said, the Rays since 2008 have had, or one of only 5 teams that had over 90 wins a year.
Damn.
So they have one of the best winning percentages in baseball.
That's awesome.
Doing that with spare parts and small payroll. It's amazing to see what they've done.
And how many games did you say that there is in like the season?
Regular season 162.
Dude, I can only imagine playing 162 games, bro. How long does it go for? Like
they call it America's pastime for a reason. Opening day was actually March 31st. It goes from about April to the end of September is the regular season.
Jeez, bro, that's
playoffs.
crazy.
Playoffs are in October.
That's crazy, man. And how is it the same? Where like how many teams from each like conference go into?
So you have here in the AL, you'll see you have the AL East, Central, West. So that's 4 divisions, and then 4 divisions in the National League go in the same way.
Right. And so do they pick like 2 teams from each, or like how do they pick out like who's going to go into like the playoffs?
You have the best. So playoffs were to start today. The Rays would win the AL East. Right. Tigers would win the Central. Mariners would win the West, and then you have 2 wild card teams. So the wild card teams is like the best record out of who's left. Right. So the wild card right now would be the Cleveland Indians and the Houston Astros. They play each other.
So they pick.
So one team basically would go the Indians would play the Rays, and then the Houston would play Seattle.
Okay. So how many teams is usually going into the playoffs? Like
6.
6
from the AL, 6 from the NL, so 12.
Okay, cool.
12 total of the 32.
Okay, cool.
And then it's just like any playoff bracket.
Yeah.
So
interesting. That's a lot. I haven't, like I said, I don't really know shit about baseball, so this is pretty interesting to learn.
It's like me when you're talking about UFC. I'm just sitting there. Yeah, wow, it's interesting.
Right.
I didn't know that. Now the tables have turned.
Now the tables have turned, and I'm the bitch. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Fuck.
Yeah, as Jim would say. Jim would get mad. Jim would be clicking the keyboard all now.
Right, dude. Our fucking we were both taking a class at college for it's called like astronomy, like intro to astronomy or some shit, right? Dude, this man like he uses his keyboard to go through the slideshows, and I swear that keyboard just doesn't fucking like him because he'll press like the down on the keyboard to like go to the next slide and it won't work, so he'll just fucking spam it and he'll like break his finger, break the keyboard, and like, dude, he goes fucking ham on that
shit. Start cussing at it.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, he's a stand-up guy, and he's not afraid to say what's on his mind. I mean,
of course.
I mean, this man gets talking, you can see the spit coming out.
Oh, yeah.
He gets into it. But
he said that before. For the kids that are sitting like the front, they're like, just be careful. You're in the splash zone. Like when I get really enthusiastic about what I'm talking about, you might get hit with a couple spits. I think that's fucking funny, man.
Yeah, like we were talking about earlier about alien life. I mean, he's real critical of the government himself. He worked for NASA. He said they're a bunch of pieces of crap.
Right.
And he thinks that the government should be spending more on space plans and the space program.
Yeah, no, I agree for sure.
To explore more and then eventually recolonize elsewhere.
Yeah, no, I think that's really interesting because he like you said, he was talking about how he worked, or I don't know if he still works or if he worked for NASA, but he was building like a simulation for what it would be like to live on Mars.
Yeah, at his university in North Dakota was.
Yeah,
North
I think
Dakota
so.
University.
Yeah,
North Dakota University.
Yeah,
and it was interesting the study of the dynamics of how successful the trials were because they first did 2 females,
right.
And then for a month long in a size of a single wide mobile home, living quarters to do their work and simulate what it'd be like to travel to Mars, or live on Mars colony. And they said the results were successful. The mission was a go, and they were happy, bubbly when they got out, and they were ready to do it again for 2 or 3 more months.
Right.
And then they did the same study with a month long in this place with males, and they said when they were done, they were successful, but they were just mentally deteriorated and worn out. But we talked about the dynamic of what it'd be like. What would happen if you brought males and females together and then relationships formed.
Yeah, and then it's be like, all right, what if you brought in like a married couple and then like just 2 single people, or like both married couples? Like there would be like everyone would be having an affair, kind of shit like that. He was saying, would go down.
And basically, the end result, the main worry would be, if something like this went down, who's to say that this man wasn't going to go? One of the men wasn't going to open the door and go on a spacewalk.
Right. Yeah, that's
meaning
true.
They're just gonna say, screw all you guys, we're all dying.
Right. Yeah, that's crazy to think about. That's but that's what you got to do. So it's really interesting how they're taking, obviously you got to practice it somewhere. So they got to simulate, what it's like going to be on Mars, so what subjects, what would be the best to send up there, because you don't want to put like billions and billions of dollars into the program and then you actually end up like a month in, like everyone's fucking dead because Brittany over here fucked Brad and Brad got jealous, or Tony got jealous that Brad got to fuck Brittany. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that's not what you want.
I think it's interesting just in life in general when you have people like the difference between science and mathematics of things happening versus human error and feelings when you get emotion involved.
Right.
Like it's like if you go on a double date with 2 couples,
right?
And if you guys aren't really close, or if you guys, even if you are, it's like you start to get harsh feelings if I was with your girlfriend,
right?
And we were talking, and I was talking to her more than I was talking to my girlfriend, and you guys felt like we were kind of hitting it off more than you were.
Right. It's
like you're naturally gonna be like, this man's my friend. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, of course, man.
It's like you're gonna get hard feelings over something petty.
Yeah, that's true.
Then it boils up over time because the more time you spend around somebody,
right,
the more these feelings start to develop, and the frustration starts to happen.
Yeah, no, that's very true. So I'm excited to see like what the best kind of group of 4 people would be going up there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know, like maybe it could be all girls, maybe it could be all guys. I have no clue because
you definitely have to have an equal balance because it's a colonization program.
Yeah, that's true.
So colonizing, you got to have equal sexes.
Right.
to make it work. I would think the best possible scenario would be two unmarried women and two unmarried men.
Yeah.
But obviously of equal physical, similarities. Because you don't want to send up two good-looking guys and then only one good-looking girl.
That's true.
Because the two good-looking guys are going to be like, I want the good-looking girl.
Right.
You're gonna have to send up two really pretty girls and two really pretty guys, or two really ugly guys and two really ugly girls. Because if there's any kind of separation, that's what's gonna spark the frustration.
Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, I can only obviously you can only do so much on Earth, but then once you actually send them onto Mars, even with all the testing that you've done, and you believe that these 4 people aren't gonna fuck up the mission or anything, it's still gonna be really crazy when it's you strap them in and then you shoot them off, and then it's
they're in.
That's it. There's no going back, and they're like, fuck,
Well, I think initially, this is an honor for them to do this.
Right.
They've done a tremendous amount of school.
Yeah.
And worked their whole life to have an opportunity like this.
Yeah.
But I think what it really is going to start to wear is that 3 or 4 weeks in, when it's really okay, there's no more life as I know it is no more.
Yeah.
It's starting from scratch, literally.
Yeah, pretty much.
New planet, new environment, and the whole purpose of your life now is to
try and
continue humanity.
Yeah, that's a fucking crazy weight on your shoulders. You know what I mean? I can only imagine that. That'd be really awesome to do. But shit, man, that's gonna I can just imagine myself trying to do that. And it's I know hell yeah, I'd be getting strapped in and be like, fuck yeah, we're going to Mars, bro. This is gonna be so much fun. And and then we get there and it's hell yeah, this is a new planet, this is fucking awesome, you're doing a bunch of shit, goofing around. And then 3-4 weeks in, you start getting homesick, bro. How do you deal with that? You know what I mean? That's what's kind of crazy to me. I feel that's what's gonna be people's tipping point is they can't. I mean, I'm sure they're gonna be able to video call or whatever, to their families, but still,
it's not the same.
It's exactly.
I think that's why who you're traveling with and that dynamic of the relationships between the crewmates.
Right.
That's when that comes into play, because if you get homesick, it's because you're not really bonding or feeling any chemistry with the people you're with. If you get that sort of spark and that sort of feeling where you generally love somebody you're with, or you feel like a family, that homesick feeling, you'll miss home, but you're not going to be homesick.
Yeah, true. I almost feel what if you took a family of 4 up there, but not oh yeah, let's bring Timothy who's 8 and then Stephanie who's 12. What if it's they're twins or something, and they all went to college to do this. You know what I mean? It's the parents went to school to be the people to go to Mars, and then they had their kids go to the college to go to Mars with them. So it's their whole family was based on let's go to Mars, let's be the people to try and colonize there. You know what I mean?
So I think that's a good idea. I mean, because the relationships of potential clashing and not getting along wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
But the whole purpose of a colonization program would be to new people produce life and expand, and you can't do that with.
But don't you think we could bring fucking I don't know, sperm,
embryos, or something like that?
all that shit, exactly. So
yeah, I mean, I'm sure something like that could be worked out, but I mean, I just think a lot of scientists would think the best way to do it would be really uniquely different people. That way you get you send a white man up there, but white man, black man, Asian woman, Hispanic girl, just to have that cultural dynamic in your humanity.
Exactly.
But then again, if you send the 4 different races up, then who's to say that clashing won't happen because of race or because of attraction to one another?
Yeah, that's true. That's true for sure. Yeah, we're not getting paid to know all this shit,
No.
So it's we don't gotta figure it out, but it's just something really interesting to think about.
What if?
Exactly, it's a bunch of what ifs and shit.
Hypotheticals.
I really want to know what it's like to 1, have sex in space, and 2, have sex on another planet. I'm trying to 0 gravity. That'd be kind of interesting. I don't know what it kind of would be like.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I like
you're just like floating.
You caught
in
me
the
off.
space
You
station?
caught me off guard with that one, man. I haven't thought of that. Now you got me thinking. Like, I mean, but if you're getting down on it, right, you're just getting that motion going, right?
Right.
In zero gravity, are you going to be moving further away from where you're like? Because you're propelling yourself away by getting after it,
Yeah, think about this. Like, you're in the International Space Station, right? You and your girl are, like, going at it, bro. But it's like, every time you, like, pound her, bro, it's like, I feel like you're pushing the ISS, like, you're kind of, like, giving it a little bit more momentum. You kind of feel me?
Yeah, I feel
Especially if you're, like, let's say, like, the only way you can do is, like, you have to, like, go up against the wall, because obviously you're in zero gravity, so you just, like, you push yourself, you're going to keep floating. You know what I mean? Like, they gotta strap themselves in when they go to sleep so they don't float away. So what if that's how they have to do it, but because you're, like, using, like, this motion, like, you're actually kind of, like, moving the spacecraft, like, more or something. I don't know if that would actually work, but...
You're right, that's what I'm saying, because the ISS is orbiting.
Right.
So it's got orbital momentum.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I was thinking, what if you're fucking, like, well, I mean, you can't fucking spacesuits. I mean, what if you were just... Imagine if you could breathe in space and you were just getting after it floating in zero gravity.
Right.
Where would you... Like, I think that would the momentum of getting after it would push you further away.
Yeah.
You'd just be like a rocket going through space, but there's two people going at it through space.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that would definitely happen. Like, if you were just floating in space and you were just going to Pound Town, like, I feel like you could use that as, like, a little... thrust.
I mean, you'd be literally thrusting it,
Right? Exactly. It's like, all right, babe, like, let's see how long it would take us to get to Mars just by fucking, I feel that'd be kind of interesting, but I don't know why. I've never actually thought about it until now, So I wonder if there's actually like articles on like NASA, if they like talk about that. You know what I mean? I'm sure there's got to be like people have asked that question. You know what I mean? Like if you're going,
Jim's even said it. He's like,
right.
Everybody thinks that's that.
Yeah,
he said they've actually had they planned for it, and
right.
That's why like they did the testing of men and women and that affects
couples and married couples and shit. Yeah, of course.
So they definitely have emotions and feelings that they have to prepare for it, or it's going to eat them alive.
Yeah, I wonder if anyone's like actually fucking the International Space Station.
I feel like it's one of those things that happens in the ISS stays in the ISS.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's very true. But yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about anything else? If not, we can wrap this podcast up.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's more for next time.
For sure.
I love to keep going, but obviously we got things we got to go do.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we got to head to class and shit. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed the podcast, make sure to like. If you guys didn't, dislike. If you guys have any feedback you want to give, make sure to put it down in the comments. And if you like the content, I have more and more in the future, so you guys can subscribe so you guys stay up to date with that. And thanks again, Garrett, for coming.
I appreciate you having me on. It's
been
a pleasure. It's been a blast. I hope to see you guys again. And
for sure, you definitely will.
Thank you, Tio, for
Yeah,
inviting me on, and I really enjoyed it.
You got it, man. So yeah, thanks again, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.